Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Education USA's Saturday webinars in India. Thank you for joining us. Today's session is on the University of California applications, especially with relevance to undergraduate applicants. Before I introduce today's speaker, I'd like to share some more information about who we are and what we do. Education USA is a US Department of State supported body, and our mandate is to provide accurate, current, and comprehensive information to students who are looking to pursue higher studies in the US. We have 7 advising centers in India and over 400 worldwide. For more information, please visit www.educationusa.state.gov. In our efforts to reach more students, we conduct virtual information sessions twice a month on Saturday at 10 a.m. We invite you and your friends to join us on these Saturdays for sessions where you can learn more about the different aspects of higher study in the US. For today's session, our speaker is Kuka Acosta, Associate Director in the Office of Admissions at the University of California, Santa Barbara. Kuka, good evening and welcome to the Saturday webinar. And thank you so much for taking the time to present the session. At this point, I'm going to ask all the participants to type in the chat box if you have any technical issues, and I will respond in the chat box and help you out with your issue. At the end of the session, we will have time for questions and answers, so I request that you keep your questions till the end. Kuka, we are ready to begin. The floor is all yours. You should be able to share your slides as well at this point.
Wonderful. Hello, everyone. I'm hoping that you see the PowerPoint slide that is in front of me. It is the University of California International Admissions. As stated, I'm Kuka Acosta. I'm with the University of California Santa Barbara campus, and I'm excited that you're interested in applying to a University of California. I want to make sure that I cover information that is relevant to you. So let's start with the basic information. That information which is sharing where we are. The 9 undergraduate campuses vary from the state of California up north near our capital to down south near Mexico. What you're going to find is that each campus is independent of one another. The University of California campuses are different in size, from 8,000 students at UC Merced to almost 40,000 students at UCLA. We have different majors. For example, UC Santa Barbara has a wonderful actuarial science major for my mathematicians of the world. And UC Santa Cruz has an amazing video game design major for students. Unique programs to us. The goal is that you look at the different campuses and you pick the right fit. What is the campus that is right for me? While we know that students will often look at rankings, we hope you'll look at more than that. Is this school the right size? Is it in a place where I would be very happy to live? And do they have my major? As you're discovering the differences amongst the campus, recognize that in California, there are over 200 different universities and colleges. The University of California's 9 undergraduate campuses teach theory and we practice research. Our ambition is to make sure that students are prepared for graduate school as well as prepared for industry. With over 150 unique academic disciplines, there is everything under the sun for you and for hopefully your academic pursuits. Now you're listening to this presentation because you'd like to know more about our application. Let's give you some basics. You'll see the URL on the screen. The University of California application is a singular application. Yep, just one. That one application is only found online at www.universityofcalifornia.edu/apply. Now, if you're a student that is looking to start with us next fall, our application is currently open, and there is a 30-day window in which you can submit that application. We do ask that you apply a year in advance. Oh boy, a year in advance. What if I don't know where I want to go? Well, then you have to make some educated decisions. Where might you want to go if you were admitted? Now, that one application will not allow for letters of recommendation. No, 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 they are not required. We do not conduct interviews. We will not call you. We will not email you. And we don't stalk you on social media. Please be aware of the fact that the application has 9 sections, and that is what we're going to evaluate for general admission. If you'd like to apply to more than one campus, maybe you want to apply to UC San Diego and UC Berkeley, note that we will charge you $80 per campus that you would like to evaluate your application. We'll do this at the end of the application in the submit box. Now, for freshman admission, the University of California has a comprehensive review process. For our undergraduate freshman students, we will be looking at 14 criteria. These are different things that the faculty on our campuses have allowed admissions to use as ways to admit students. Some of these you already know, right? That SAT or ACT required exam. Some of these you might not know. We actually look at special talents, achievements, performances, and things you do outside of the classroom as well. And do make a note that we have location of your high school and residency as a factor for admission that can be used. So when we're looking at your application, we ask a lot of questions. Do we ask a lot of questions? Yes, we do. We ask questions that you might think, oh, well, will this help me or hurt me? And I want to make sure you recognize that we do ask questions about race, ethnicity. We do ask questions about legacy. Do you have a parent that you want to share information about? But those details cannot and will not be used in the admission selection process. We ask these questions in order to keep demographic information and to report to the state of California who is registered on our campus. Again, we cannot and will not use gender, ethnicity, any of those special categories as a University of California campus. What we're looking at is 8 sections of information that will ask a lot of questions still. The application's 8 sections are listed for you on the screen. The Start tab is going to be really easy. I'm not showing you screenshots of that, but essentially it's your name, your address, things that I expect you to know. We ask you what campuses you'd like to apply to. There is a scholarship section, and there are some scholarships which are open to international students, and those are more endowments versus public money. We ask you about your family circumstances, your parent information, of course, academics, because that is very important. We ask about activities that you've done outside of the classroom and awards that you won. But we also ask about testing. Testing. And we do have a section called Insight Questions, those personal insight questions which allow the reader to get to know you. Within the application process, it's important that we look at some of these and that I show you where there are usually issues. So let's give you some help, shall we? When you're looking at the campuses, the 9 undergraduate campuses are going to be listed for you alphabetically. Where shall I go? So we're going to ask these questions because we want you to tell us where you'd like to apply. And for each of the campuses, you will find that when you check that box, again, there will be an $80 fee that is going to be associated with your application. If you apply to one or if you apply to all 9 campuses, you will get independent evaluations. We do not collaborate with one another. We do not collaborate with one another when it comes to our review process. Now, we will ask you if you are applying to a campus, what is your intended major at that campus? Let's make this screenshot really easy for you. I'm going to pretend to apply to the University of California, Davis. Note that Davis allows you to choose a first choice major as well as an alternate choice major. First choice majors should be made in what you really want to study. There are some programs which are impacted or extremely popular. Those majors tend to be engineering programs across all 9 campuses, or they can be programs like theater or business. If you're applying to one of these impacted programs or popular programs in admission, we recommend that you add an alternate major, a second choice. Now, I do need to make sure you realize that UC Berkeley, the University of California at Berkeley, only gives you a chance to apply to one major. They do not allow an alternate. When you're looking at and select the radio button for the major you want, on occasion, a box will pop up. That box will tell the admissions requirements, if there are additional requirements, at a deadline by which they have to be completed. The example here is University of California. It's their nursing science program. Now, granted, not a lot of international students apply to nursing science, but this one's a very clear example of, hey, there's a supplemental application due between October 1st and November 30th. Here's the link. If you see that box pop up, don't ignore it. Make sure that you read it, and if there's an extra step, don't forget to turn in that extra step. Supplemental applications may ask for letters of recommendation, may ask for a statement of purpose. If I'm applying to a music major, for example, there might even be an audition. And while we encourage in-person auditions, we will allow for online submission of international students. If you're applying to an art major, there might be a portfolio. So these instructions are important to look at. Hey, what happens if there's no box that pops up? If there's no box, then I do not want anything else from you. If there is no additional instruction and you send me additional material, oh, no, don't do it. We don't want it and we cannot use it. In fact, you don't even send transcripts when you apply to us. Ooh, well, if I don't want a transcript, what do I do? Everything is going to be self-reported. Now, I do want to point out that the University of California, San Diego, after you pick your major, is going to ask students to rank their colleges. The college structure has no bearing on major. I could be an engineer at any of these colleges. I can be an economics student at any of these colleges. The college structure is going to change general education curriculum and living learning communities. Students are required to press the box that says, learn more about UC San Diego colleges. Warning. The UC application has a lot of pop-ups. So if your pop-up blocker is armed, you won't see them and it will keep you in a loop. So disarm your pop-up blockers. When you do that, a box pops up and it asks you to review the 6 colleges. You will rank them. Do better than I did. I just did a random 1, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Really take time to read through these. And if you need help, the UC San Diego admissions officers are happy to explain the differences between the colleges. Okay, so we talked about colleges. We talked about the different UC campuses. Majors can be different. I can be a biology major at UC Davis, and I can be a genetics major at UC San Diego, and I can be aquatic biology at UC Santa Barbara. That's perfectly acceptable. Or even go crazier. I can be a biology major at Berkeley, and I can be an electrical engineer at Santa Barbara. Yeah. You can do that. Our goal is for you to tell us what you want to study, not the other way around. Okay, the next part of the application is the About You section. And within this application, many international students don't understand the questions that we're asking. I want to give you some help. So while this section of the application is technically optional, you could leave questions blank. This gives us a better understanding of your family circumstances. I'm one of 7 children. I'm the only child. It changes the opportunities that you have. So we ask questions like, what was your first language? If your first language was Hindi and English, then do you still speak both languages, or have you learned a third language? This type of information sets the context of your abilities. We ask about things like foster care. Have you been part of the foster care system in your hometown? And we also ask about parent size. We ask about parent education. We ask about family size, and we ask about what your parents do for a living. And this is a great thing for parents to interact with their students. Here's my job, not just what I do, but the title that's involved. Within the application, that section again is optional. This section, on the other hand, academic history, is mandatory. The University of California has 7 academic subjects that we require all applicants in state, outside of the state of California, but in the US, as well as internationally. 7 academic subjects that students must complete: math, history, English, science, art, language other than English, as well as college prep electives. We in California call these the A through G requirements. That doesn't make sense when you leave California, by the way. So just remember, these are often in line with your high school graduation requirements. Now, we in this section will ask you about the requirements because, again, you are not going to send me your mark sheet. You are not going to send me a transcript. Your school is not going to send me a mark sheet. Instead, you will hold on to report cards or your mark sheet and self-enter this coursework into the application. Students in 7th or 8th grade or middle school could have started these requirements if they took an algebra or geometry-based math, or if they took a language other than English. And within the application, you actually enter those. So I took algebra. I took a full year. That's it. That's all you have to tell me. And within the application, I will give you credit for that coursework that was started before high school. I want to point out that in this section under 7th and 8th grade coursework, there is a box that says international experience. Did you attend a school outside of the United States between 6th and 8th grade? And if the answer is yes, you will actually tell me what your language of instruction was. If your language of instruction was English, we'll move on. But if it was something else, I was in Singapore, I was in Germany, I was studying in another country, then I want to know the language of instruction because oftentimes that would be part of our A through G requirements. All right, I know you've got questions. Remember, you're going to type them in and I'll answer them at the end. Now, within the academic history section, what you're going to do is you're going to start by telling me that your high school is outside of the United States. You'll tell me the country in which your school is in, and then you'll start typing the name of your high school. Now, be very, very careful. I gave the example of Delhi Public School. Well, you know what? There's over 100 Delhi Public Schools. Which school did you go to? Make sure that the city is correct so that you're channeling the right school. Was it Delhi Public School in Indore? Was it Delhi Public School in Gurgaon? Where was it? And as you tell me the school, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask, well, when were you a student here? If you attended more than one high school, you will repeat this process for every high school that you attended. Now, Delhi Public School, Gurgaon is where I went, and I've been there for 4 years. Great. When were you a student for each academic year? Now, while this follows an American platform, we will convert this to your school type. So I want you to be confident that the University of California admissions offices, all 9 of us, understand the difference between a CBSE or a CIE or an ISC or International Baccalaureate, we know the differences. We know that you might be doing your traditional curriculum in grade 9 and 10 and then switch to International Baccalaureate for 11 and 12. We get it. Don't panic. We've got plenty of experience. But in this section, you're not going to tell me that yet. What you'll tell me is, when were you a student? So if you are in grade 12 right now, that's the 18-19 academic year. Last year was grade 11, so on and so forth. Now, when I eventually ask for your mark sheets, I'm going to be asking for what grade types or what grades will I see, right? If I've done CBSE and I'm on a 1 to 10 scale with 2 final grades, then I want you to check off semester. If I have 1 official grade at the end of the year, then you're on a full system. This is going to be triggering your course work that you self-enter on the next page. The academic history section will ask you to make a note of those A through G requirements. Again, math, English, history, science, art. You'll then actually write in the title of the course. And if it's Math 1, Math 2, or if it's integrated science, integrated science, integrated science, then just copy exactly what's going to be on your mark sheet into the application. We will look at your grades. So if you told me your grades were 1 through 10, or you're on an IB curriculum 1 through 7, you'll actually see the drop-down menu change. So maybe my grades were A, B, C, D, F. Well, that A, B, C, D, F is going to pop up. If I told the application that my grades were IB 1 through 7, well, then 1 through 7 is going to pop up. So this is meant to be easy for you to navigate. You'll note that your grade 12 coursework, for many schools, you are currently in your fall of your grade 12. For some schools, you're in the spring of your grade 12 and you're about to graduate in December. So you will tell us whether or not your coursework is in progress. I'm working on my classes right now. If you're planning to take coursework next spring, and I don't expect grades for grade 12. I do not need predicted grades, but if you want to share them, you can. Little mental note, we will recalculate your GPA. Yes, we will. We will recalculate your GPA for UC admissions. We'll use the academic courses from grade 10 and grade 11. Ooh, grade 10 and grade 11. Yep, those 2 years alone. We will average them together and we will calculate our GPA on a weighted scale. AP, IB, or college work gets extra credit in the GPA. Hey, but my coursework is really hard. University of California policy, AP, IB, or college coursework gets that weighted GPA. Remember though, we know your coursework. We know what a good score is. We know what good testing is. Don't start panicking yet. Okay, so once you've done that, if you've done college coursework, and I know that at least 1 or 2 of you has done a summer program or is thinking of doing a summer program. I met a very lovely young lady who was from Mumbai, who was at UC Santa Barbara this summer doing our summer discovery program. She lived on campus. She was taking college coursework. So that student would say, yes, I took college courses while I was in high school. 99% of you, though, will say, no, I'm doing what I can to graduate high school. And then you'll mark the no box and the rest of these questions go away. So don't stress about this because not everyone in the US has college coursework, but we want to recognize those of you who have done work. If you did a summer program, if you've done college coursework, that information is listed for you here. I'll skip through this because it's not really that popular. Okay, when it comes to the application for A through G, I want to show you what those are. So again, visual performing arts, electives, these classes are actually outlined for you. You'll select from the drop-down menu. I think that if you're confused about something, call us or email us. Hey, I'm taking this class. It's a class on positivity. Well, okay, give me a description of the class. Oh, that doesn't fall under A through G. I'm taking an economics class. Yep, Economics completely falls under A through G. Economics is actually an elective in the interdisciplinary category. So all of these academic classes, if you're unsure, let us know. We'll tell you where to put them. Okay, academics is done. Yes, woohoo! Now let's talk about your life outside of academics. As I stated, the University of California admissions for freshman applicants is a comprehensive review process. Our ambition is to know not just are you a good student, but are you also a great human being? Are you someone I want on my campus? So we ask things about you outside of the classroom. And this is one of those areas where for international students, you might not have a lot of time. You might not have a lot of free time to do activities. Remember that we do not require activities outside of the classroom, but we are asking for how you spend your time. Maybe you're a dancer and maybe you've taken dance classes, or maybe you are taking a dance class at your high school and there's performances on top of that. Well, that's where these particular activities come into play. You can describe your role in each activity and tell us when you participated while you were a high school student. Some people work. I have a job. Some people list hobbies. Everything that you do can be added. I'll give you an example. I met a very lovely young lady who in Delhi was telling me that she helped her mother and she helped her father at their store. Well, that's a job. And she then came back at me and said, well, no, it's a family thing and it's not a job. I didn't get hired. I don't get paid. And I said, well, great. That's still a job. Or you can call it volunteer work. And she looked at me going, but it's family. And I looked at her saying, it doesn't matter. It's how you're spending your time. Are you taking classes at your local mosque or your synagogue, or are you taking classes at your temple? Well, that can be added here as well. Are you spending time working on your friend's video project and you're their editor? That can go in here. Maybe you're the one who's doing community service. That can go in here. Maybe you're translating for your parents. That can go in here. How are you spending your time? Don't devalue your experiences because you don't think they're important. Let me decide. Okay, testing. Woohoo! The University of California does have testing requirements. There is one mandatory exam for all students, regardless of where they reside, and that is the option between the SAT or the ACT. The SAT reasoning or the SAT with the essay is what I'm looking for, one of those two. We know that this is a hard exam to get into internationally. It's not often that it's available to you, or it might not be very close. I'm going to say, I am sorry, but this has to be taken. Now, international students might also be required to take a TOEFL or an IELTS exam. The University of California policy says if your language of instruction in high school for 3 or more years is English, then I do not require the TOEFL. Woohoo! But if you have less than 3 years, yeah, we require the TOEFL. So if you've been in Germany and you were there for 9th and 10th grade and you've just moved to Hyderabad, and now you're in grade 11 and 12, and right now your language is English, I'm going to need a TOEFL or an IELTS. Again, less than 3 years, it is required. These exams must be completed by December in grade 12 before you graduate high school in order for us to review them as an applicant. There are optional exams as well. Woo! Yes, more testing, of course. Anything from an SAT subject test, advanced placement, international baccalaureate exams. We do not require these exams, so we don't actually publish a lot about them. But if you are looking at international baccalaureate exams, a 5 or better on the higher level exam will earn college credits. just like a 3 or better on an AP exam will earn college credits. Now, some students that are working on specific curriculum will have testing. So the IGCSE, those O-level exams, those A-level exams, they might require you to also report those tests that you took in grade 10. So you will list the test and then you will list the subtests that you took. So I'm doing my IGCSE exams. That's what I selected on the display there. And then you'll tell me when you took the test, the name of the test, and the score. Is it a predicted score, or you don't even have predicted yet? You'll make note of that here so that we can evaluate it. Remember, we know what a good score is. We also know that these are challenging exams. We just need you to pass them for your school, state boards so that we can move on. Okay. Let's keep going. When it comes to testing, those IB exams happen to have a lot of options and opportunities. If you're doing the IB diploma, you'll make note of that in your IB exam so that we can give you credit for it. You'll tell me the tests that you've already taken, but also what you're planning to take in your grade 12. If you're taking exams in the upcoming year, you better tell me about it and then feel confident that you can say, I don't know my scores yet. Well, of course you don't. You haven't taken the test yet. But this allows us to look at projected college credits that you're going to get. As I said, you either have to take the SAT reasoning or SAT with the essay, that's an option, or the ACT with writing. And you get to self-report the scores into your application. Yeah, self-report them, but the University of California will eventually ask for official test scores. Here's a hint. Send official test scores to just one campus, and that one campus will share official test scores with all of the UC campuses that you've decided to apply to. Yay! That's right. We work together as a UC system. That's why it's one application, one official test score that you have to send. All right, and to report your test scores, I want to remind you that you don't just give the basic scores, right? So the SAT is on 800 math, 800 reading. I also need the sub-scores. Do not guess. Make sure that you're looking at your sub-scores from your College Board account to make these accurate sub-scores. I know, my fake test, I got 1600. I don't expect that, by the way. Many students are anywhere between the 12 to 1600 range when we admit students across the UC campuses. I said there were optional tests. There are subject tests. They're optional. 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 We do not require any of these exams. While there are some recommendations, if you cannot take the test, it will not hurt your admission. Got it? Good. Let's keep going. The last part of the UC application is the part that is the most fulfilling to me as I read it, but probably the most stressful to you as you're filling it out. And that is the University of California Personal Insight Questions. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, the PIQs. What are we asking for? Well, the University of California has created 8 questions. We want you to read all 8 and then pick 4. Yep, pick 4 questions that you want to answer. Hey, can I answer 5? No, pick 4. You only can answer 4. Each of your responses for these 4 questions has a word limit. No more than 350 words per response. Ooh, well, I've got 318 words. Do I have to go up to 350? No, if you don't go up to 350, I'm not mad at you. Your limit is 350. It is not your requirement. We view all 8 questions equally, so pick the questions that are right for you. When you're answering these questions, keep 3 things in mind. 1, these are not essays. They are not essays. They are questions and we want answers. We read the questions with your entire application, and the UC campuses think of this as a way to conduct an unofficial interview with you. It's a way to get details about you. It's a way to understand the context of your accomplishment. And it's a way for me to understand what you did accomplish, both professionally in the classroom as well as outside of the classroom. So this adds clarity, depth, and or context. We don't want you to focus on the writing style of your personal insight question. What? A UC application? It's a college application. It has to be graded for style. No, 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 no. The University of California thinks of these as questions, so give us answers. Remember, it's one application, so you're only answering the questions once, and every campus you're applying to is reading the same answer. We don't look anything up, so don't give us acronyms. We don't all have the opportunity to have visited your school, to have visited your city, or heck, to have visited your country. So make sure that we understand the context of your accomplishments. Do not give me an introduction and a conclusion. I do not need to be entertained. This is not a creative writing project. No, no, no. I do not like storytelling. So the best thing to think about is tell me about your accomplishments. Do not show me your accomplishments. Tell, don't show. Tell, don't show. Tell, don't show. All right, hopefully you remember that. Remember that in the answers, if it's UCLA, if it's San Diego, or if it's Santa Barbara, we love to learn more about you. And that's why we want to see I statements. I have been able to, or maybe it's I have not been able to. You know, based off of my curriculum, I have 7 classes a day. I am not able to do anything after school for an extracurricular activity. Woo, 7 classes a day. Oh, wait, you're doing 7 classes a day. You're also taking an IB full diploma curriculum, and you're doing your national program. Wow, that's amazing. When do you sleep? When you talk about yourself, I can give you credit. Please talk about yourself. If you have some random comments or if you want to give that description, but it's not a personal insight question, I have a place for that too. The additional comments section of the UC application allows you 550 words to tell us about yourself or your academic curriculum or your high school or your community or your family. Essentially, it's an open-ended, what more do I need to know about you? I've given you some examples. This is the same student. I completed the national curriculum at my high school. This is also the student. My IB program requires me to pick a track. I was not able to take art because I had to take economics instead. Describe things or clarify things for us, please. These do not have to be responses that are given in paragraph form. They can be bullets for us. All right, almost done, and then I'll go to questions. So the application is going to be open right now for the class of 2019 for my students who want to start next fall. Their submit button is a 7-step process. That's so much work. Yeah, I know, and I'm sorry. But this 7-step process is, first of all, your statement of integrity. Yes, everything that I've told you is true. And we do randomly select students for verification. You're the president of the chess club. Prove it. You were part of the Math Olympiad. Prove it. You did an education abroad experience in Spain. Prove it. We'll ask for those randomly, and if you do get selected for verification, it will be an email that we send to you. We ask about demographic information. Again, this is a question that we ask in order to either create services or support programs for you, but also because we're required to report this to the state of California. But this is not part of the admission selection process. and we ask for money. You know that we're ready to submit the application when we ask for money. You will again be charged $80 per campus that you're applying to. You can pay by credit card, or if you needed to, what you're going to find is that some campuses will allocate an opportunity for you to do a cashier's check that you mail in. The easiest thing is to pay by credit card. The application will give you a confirmation number. It says, congratulations, you successfully submitted your application. Hey, I didn't see that page. Then you better check to see if you applied. The application must be submitted by November 30th, midnight, Pacific time. Ha ha ha. Pacific time is a really important detail for you. The application itself is going to be due in November. You do still have the month of December to take additional exams. And last but not least, what you're going to find is that the application decisions are going to be posted individually. If you applied to Santa Cruz and to Berkeley, then Santa Cruz will give you an admissions decision, and so will Berkeley. And you'll have to go to each one of our admissions pages to see those results. We will notify you of admission in the month of March, and every campus releases decisions on a different date. Merced will release on March 1st. Santa Barbara might be the third week of March, and UC Berkeley is going to be the last Thursday of March. That's just how we work. We all have different guarantees for housing and so forth. So if you are admitted and you do want to enroll on our campus, additional deadlines will be required of you, and we'll email you all of those. That's the third time I've said email. That's right. Your application login is an email. Email is our official communication. Make sure you're checking your email. Woo! I got through that in 45 minutes. I'm really impressed with myself. Now it's time for you to ask questions. Those questions I'm going to go through and make sure that I answer one by one. So if I miss a question, or if you have something specific you'd like to ask me about Santa Barbara, I want to make sure that you see the email address on the screen. That happens to be the UC Santa Barbara, my UC Santa Barbara email, my direct email, in fact. Okay, let's make sure that we're answering your questions. So first question that I'm going through is, how will the international experience apply to international students? Ooh, that's a good question. So when it comes to the admissions process, what we're going to do is we're going to be looking at, well, one, the context. If you're at an international or American high school, you're going to have all the traditional classes that I require for your academics. So you have to take them. If you're at a traditional high school, a national high school, some of your requirements may have different titles. For example, you may not teach a U.S. history class. So by default, I'm not going to require that of you. Within the application process, your extracurriculars might differ if you're at a rural school, right? I'm in a very traditional place, or if you're in a big city, a big, suburban area. What resources are available to you? What's the safety issue, right? It takes me 45 minutes to get to my high school from, where I'm at in Noida. And the reason for that is because I have to, make my way through traffic. Okay, that's a good thing of how you're spending your time. Or maybe in Chennai, where I'm at, I'm very close to my school, but I chose to go to the school across town because they offer an international baccalaureate program. Ooh, tell me more. So the international experience is based off of your city, your country, your state, and I want to know more about it. Okay, next question. Which subjects should Indians choose in the academic section? My school follows the CBSE pattern. Okay, so in the academic section, you're going to choose the subjects A through G. So math, history, English, science. Now I know that some of your courses will have different titles, but you're still going to answer it that way. You don't get to skip them because of your CBSE curriculum. The difference is I'll be looking at your exams at the end to see whether or not you have met the curriculum, the CBSE curriculum for graduation, and then what you might have missed for us. Again, I had to choose a track and I wasn't able to take an art. That's the type of detail that we can use to make exceptions based off of your curriculum. Ooh, okay, let's keep going. The next question is there a different weight for the marks in each of the classes, or are they all the same? I love that question. So your marks will be based off of your school marks. If your high school says that you're on a 0 to 100 scale, and a 92 to 100 is equal to an A, then guess what? If you got a 92, I'm going to give you an A, and I'm going to create your GPA based off of that school scale. So that is one thing we look up, is what is your school mark and what are your grades? Now, here's something that I won't know though. Maybe your high school is extremely difficult, and it's very rare for a student to get anything above a 95. Well, that's something you can add to the additional comments. And that changes my perception of your accomplishment. Maybe you were the one that had the highest mark at 95. First of all, yay, congratulations. Second of all, when I know that, I can use that in the comprehensive review. Okay, so again, what is the formula? How do you calculate the GPA? We will use all of the academic classes in grade 10 and 11. We recalculate the GPA, so an A is equal to 4 points, a B is equal to 3 points, etc. We give an extra point for AP, IB, or college work. And then we average those together, dividing by the number of semesters that you've completed. So that GPA is something we do. It is not something you have to do at all. Okay, I've got a question about a gap year. Students applying during the gap year, how would the GPA be calculated? So a gap year is a year where you have graduated from high school and you are not taking any college coursework, not even a 1-unit physical education class during the academic year. That's fall, winter, or spring terms. And if that is the case, then your gap year, you will apply in November prior to enrollment. So while you're on your gap year, you will find that we recalculate the GPA the same way we do with everyone else. Grade 10 and grade 11 only. What? Is that possible? But I have 12th grade. Yeah, we won't use it for your GPA. For a student though on a gap year, I will ask you how you spent your gap year, and I do have you enter your grade 12 marks. I just won't add them to the GPA for admission. I love that answer, right? I'm sure you did too. All right, let's keep going. So when it comes to a gap year, can that hurt you? No, it cannot. I love students who take a gap year and either do a service project or they travel. They have such a different perspective, and it's such a rich perspective. It's a different point of view. You have different life experiences. You're a little bit older. So if you do a gap year, embrace it, love it. Just remember that all of the requirements are still pertaining to you. You still have to take an SAT or ACT. If you require that, you have to take the exam while you were a high school student. So you cannot graduate from high school, take a gap year, and then take an SAT or an ACT. That is actually not allowed for UC admission. Okay, so I have a student that says, hi, I'm from India. Well, hello, I hope that you are. I'm happy that you told me that. Next question. Do you all offer some college credits for A levels or O levels? Ooh, so yes, college credit can be awarded. You're going to find that it's going to vary from campus to campus as to the course curriculum that it gets awarded for. Okay, next question. Can I report my class 10 ICSE scores in the international exam section? Yes, that's exactly where it goes. Thank you for asking. All right, almost second to last question. Here we go. I want to apply to UC for an MBA program. I have done 3 years of a diploma in civil engineering. Ooh, I'm going to stop right there because you're asking about a master's in business administration. I am the Office of Undergraduate Admission. I will not be able to answer your question fully, but I will be able to email you any question or contact for international graduate admissions. So Amit, please email me that question. All right, next question. What are the UC approved honors lists? This is a hard one. For international students, there is no approved UC honors curriculum. That is just for California students. California students have to submit their high school syllabus, and the state of California, or the high schools in California, allow the University of California to evaluate what is and what is not honors based. We are not able to do that outside of California, so there is no honors credit for an international student. Question, does University of California have spring admission? Not necessarily. There's one application. That application is November, and it's technically that you're applying for the fall of the following year. So November 2018, so that I can enroll for fall 2019. Now, there are a few campuses that might defer you to spring. So I'm thinking Berkeley, for an example, might say, I'm not going to admit you for fall 2019. I will defer you to spring 2020, but you cannot apply to spring 2020. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Is it a waste of time to write an essay compiling all of the qualities of yourself, eventually stating that these qualities are what make you stand out as a candidate? Ooh, I love that question. First of all, it's not an essay. Say it with me now. It is not an essay. I think I heard that from all the way over here. Good job. I want to learn more about you. And if there are personal qualities that you want to share, then make sure that those qualities reflect who you are today, who you are this month, this year in grade 12, who you are as an individual. If your quality is that you can make people smile, why is that relevant to you? Well, because I'm such a positive person, I'm always helping others. I've been awarded the Student of the Month award. Oh, cool. How many people get that? How often is that given? Think tangible, not just random qualities, but really, what have you done because of those qualities? And if you can answer that question, ooh, I'm excited to read it. Okay, next question is, what will be course fees for 4-year programs? Are scholarships available to international students? This is going to be a campus by campus answer. So the technical answer is the University of California is a public university. As a public university, we do require that public funds stay in California. But dun, 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 there are quite a few students who happen to have there are quite a few campuses that may have endowments, and that's private money, not state money. And some of those campuses will allocate scholarships to international students. So that will be a campus by campus decision, and they will often award this based off of your UC application. No additional financial aid paperwork is required. Okay, cool. Let's keep going. Next question. What will be course fee? Oh, I just answered that question. I'm sorry. Let's try again. If an essay that I am writing is showing the work I have towards my major, but doesn't show much about my personality, would that be a waste? Oh gosh, that's a hard question because I would have to see your whole application to see if you added new knowledge. Are you adding something new? You are? Then it's not a waste of time. Are you repeating yourself? Did you already tell me that you were part of that community service project? And what you're doing is you're just showing your personality again, that you're a very community-oriented person. Well, then maybe it's not the best use. I do want to encourage you to think about your major and your extracurricular activities. do not have to be the same thing. I can be a dancer, and that's my talent, that's my hobby, but I'm going to be a computer science major. Yay! Share that with me. I would embrace that greatly. Okay, next question. Are U.S.
Kuka, could we now move into the last couple of questions as we're running out of time?
Yes, I've
If
got.
you could just select something that sounds like a good question to work with.
Okay. I've got 3 questions that are talking about being a U.S. citizen abroad. Recognize that for U.S. citizens, the scholarship answer is going to be different. We will encourage you to file the FAFSA, and you're filling out the exact same application. If your school is not in the U.S., you're an international applicant, but the difference is you're eligible for different financial aid. And then I do have 2 questions about specific majors. I will point out that they were requested about being a master's program. So again, please email me so that I can put you in touch with the Department of Graduate Admissions. That is not my area of expertise. Okay, last 2 questions. How are U.S. citizen applicants same, I already answered that question. And then there is a question here about I am in the state board. Should I apply to University of, I have no idea what that question is. I think that's it. I think I answered everything that was there. So I will say thank you for being with me. Thank you for asking some great questions. Did something new pop up? Not a problem. That's why my email is on the board. Please feel free to call or email me. I'm happy to answer questions or to give you contacts with some of my UC colleagues.
Thank you so much, Kuka. That was a really lively, interesting, engaging, and detailed presentation. And thank you for going through all those questions and providing information on each of those points. As students, as you're aware, Kuka has provided her email address. So if you need to reach out to her, do that. And I'm also available. I'm an Education USA advisor. And so if you need to reach out with more general questions about the application process, I'm Deborah, DEBORAH @usief.org.in. My email is also on the registration, the webinar registration email. So do feel free to reach out. Thank you again, everyone, for attending. Thank you, Kuka, again, for a wonderful session. Have a great day, and Kuka, have a great evening ahead.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your November, everyone.